Well, the weekend has just begun, but we're going to see what really took place. We have a lot of wrestling taking place throughout the weekend, but I can only do what we can. So, for today's episode, we're going to review Bound for Glory. I was unable to do it on the previous episode due to the timing, but this time we're going to be doing it. So, we're going to see, will Josh Alexander remain as the champion, or will Honor No More build up the momentum to prove that they run Impact Wrestling? And of course, we got the latest ChocoPro event 259, which is an amazing event taking place, and I can't wait to see what really happened. But also we got NWA USA. Apparently, the Fixers once again are hosting the entire show, and of course we got New Japan Strong with Atom Attack, where we have some interesting matches we definitely got to be seeing. We're I'm definitely going to be talking a lot about this one, and of course a couple of news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J. Rodier. So, let's begin with Impact Wrestling's latest pay-per-view, Bound for Glory. Now, I did not see the kickoff show or whatever they call it, but I was aware that we had the Digital Media Championship on the line when an open challenge by Brian Myers, the so-called most professional wrestler. Baloney. He takes on someone I did not anticipate, but it was Dirty Dango. So it was like, let's get weird. So yes, he showed up. I did not see the whole match, but I was aware later that Brian Myers retained the title. As always, try to look ways to ensure he retains it. Now, our opening match on the main card, we have the X Division Championship. Frankie Kazarian, who's a four-time X Division champion, taking on the current champion, of course, um, Mike Bailey. I thought this match was great. I loved how this was an opening because the one thing it was clear is Mike Bailey's main weapon is the Ultimate Weapon, and it did not have no effect onto Frank Kazarian. So basically, the only option that Bailey did had was, of course, was the Flamingo Driver. Did not work, but luckily, it took a few tries for Frank Kazarian to apply the Chicken Wing in order for Mike Bailey to tap out, crowning a brand new X Division champion. Now, our next match, we have Mia Yim versus Mickie James, the last rodeo tour, as we call it. As you know, Mickie James is her last length of her career, so she chosen Mia Yim. But however, Mia Yim was a bit nervous, knowing that she could be the one person that that retires Mickie James. But however, it did not happen in that way. Mickie James put up a good fight, but it did apply the Mickie DDT in order for her to win. And I think Mia Yim did put out all of her energy, everything that she did, not to hold back, and I think that was a good thing. I think it was a good match, but we so basically the the rodeo still continues. Mickie James still goes on, but the obvious question does remain later on: who will be the next challenger? That's the obvious question. Now, our next match we have is the Knockouts Tag Team titles. We have Death Dolls, consistent of Tail Valkyrie and Jessica, along with Rosemary, to take on VXT, which is Donna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. I thought this match was pretty interesting because it showed, okay, Rosemary does not like the fact that Jessica is here. She wants Havoc back. But now it's like, okay, Jessica is really making things better. But one thing I did like is how somehow Death Dolls were able to coexist now. They were able to pick up a very interesting victory when, of course, Jessica applied the sick driver onto Chelsea and pick up the Knockouts Tag Team title. So basically, now Death Dolls are making their own way, and I think it's a good thing. So the obvious question does remain. Let's see what happens on Thursday. We'll see if Peraza and Green will get a rematch. We know they'll probably catch it in as soon as possible. Now, our next match, we have the Impact World Tag Team titles. The Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin taking on the Kingdom, members of Honor No More, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, along with Maria. Now, you know this type of match is about, as you know, the Kingdom felt that they're not in the same kind of conversation as the Motor City Machine Guns. We seen the Machine Guns, their reputation as one of the most dominating tag teams of the present, and Kingdom feels like we need to be in that conversation. However, things would have gone Motor City Machine Guns' way if it wasn't for Matt Taven. They used his feet on the ropes, and referee did not see them retain the titles. So basically, they think they're still in it, but one way or the other, they will have to lose those titles against someone who is more dominating than them. Now, our next match is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Now, we had a lot of surprises. Taylor Wilde showed up. We had Giselle Shaw, Tennille Dash, Tasha Steeles, Savannah Evans, Killer Kelly. We saw ECW originals, Bully Ray, Rhino, Heath, Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, all of that. Heath showed up, but one thing that was fun is, of course, Taylor Wilde was about to pull out the tables, but all of a sudden she was thrown out of the ring, and it was really disappointing. But of course, we saw Matt Cardona make his way, trying to make his shot, because we know one thing he would definitely want on his mind is the Impact World title, and that's one of the things. Of course, Moose was there, he was eliminated, all this and that, and I just feel like, wow, it was chaotic. But it was Bully Ray who picked up the win on Macklin when he applied the Bully Bomb, giving him the trophy. So the real question is what shot he will take, and he says he wants the Impact World title. So we'll see what happens then. Now, before we go to our main event, Eddie Edwards had a little heart-to-heart with his wife, Alicia, as you know. Alicia had enough with this crap with Eddie, so basically she wants this to end right now. So he says the only way this is going to end if he becomes the Impact World Champion, and that's exactly what he's intending to do. Our semi-final match, we have the Knockouts World Championship. Masha Slamovich making her first title opportunity against the current champion, Jordan Grace. I thought this match was unbelievably good because, you can tell by the look of Masha, she will use every submission move, everything in her arsenal to take Jordan Grace out. But it was an avalanche Grace driver that sealed the deal for Grace to retain the title. So I thought it was amazing. Now, our next final match, which is the main event, the Impact World title, Eddie Edwards of Honor No More and versus Josh Alexander. I thought this match was a banger. Now, Eddie Edwards pulled every stop to put away Josh Alexander to ensure he wins. Nothing works. Not to mention Taven and Bennett show up like the weasels that they are, try to help him, but it did not work. But it took only a C4 spike to put away Edwards to retain the title. And of course, Honor No More shows up to beat down Josh Alexander. But however, Heath and Swan try to help. It was just too much. Then all of a sudden, we saw Bully Ray with the Call Your Shot trophy. Everybody thought what was going to happen, that he was going to do the same thing what Moose did last year, but it did not. Apparently, Bully Ray beat the crap out of Honor No More. So basically, it looks like Bully Ray wants to do this the right way. So he's calling his shot that he wants a shot of his title and all this. So I thought it was a good event. Pretty good matches. I enjoyed every last one of them. So, but yeah. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact. So let's move on with ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro 259. It opened up with a singles match. We got Sawadi Kamen taking on the current Super Asia champion Balinaki in a non-title match. However, the rule applies if Sawadi's was able to pin Balinaki, then he will get an opportunity. Now, this match was okay. However, someone botched the bell, basically the ring bell. I don't know who it was, but Balian had this distinct feeling that the one person who might have done that, even though she's here in the States, decided to play a little game with him, is Mei Shiruga. I don't know if that's true, but whoever did that, you better not screw it up this time. But the match continued on regardless after this whole botched. It was pretty good until Balinaki did not apply a different type of technique. Instead, he tried a submission where he used both arms as a way to bend them by using his legs in order to have Sawada to say give up, in which he did. Next match, we have a three-way match. We have Sayaka Obihiro um, versus Saki of Colors, and of course allied to the Cosmic Angels, and of course veteran Cherry. I thought this match was pretty fun. I mean, it showed a lot of different variations of women in this match. You know, Sayaka Obihiro, who's only 13 years in the wrestling business, Saki 10, Cherry longer than Sayaka. But however, this match was getting chaotic little by little. Not to mention, it ended with, of course, Cherry was able to put Saki outside of the building and decided to put Sayako Bihiro in a somewhat of a headlock guillotine in order for her to force Sayako Bihiro to tap out, which she did. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have Chiko Shikawa once again teaming up with her friend, once in a while rival, um, Sayaka, to take on a very unusual team, Coyote Yonayama, and of course, Masahiro Takanashi. Now, I don't know much about this whole thing, how they would coexist, because they're both two different distinctive wrestlers, if you guys ever noticed. Now, Chi and Sayaka, as you know, they're part of the fourth generations of the Got to Move promotion. So basically, it could I know they will work together, but Masa, the only time he could coexist are with certain wrestlers, but mostly with Chris Brooks. But this time it went into a different dynamic in every aspect. But however, um, Coyote Yonayama was able to pick up the victory when she applied the O'Connor roll and on Chiko Shikawa to allow them win. But however, Masa said to Coyote, "I will never team up with you ever again." And everybody's like, "Ooh." And I think Masa means it. I don't think he wants to team up with her because she's not the type of wrestler that he would want to be around her, with her ways. Now, our final thing involving in this show is the Jonkin tournament. I was a bit disappointed that Balinaki was gone. Chiko Shikawa, I know she mostly can win. But, however, the one person I did not anticipate was going to win, and I had to say maybe it was beginner's luck or she just got lucky, is the new girl, Mia. Mia won the Jonkin tournament. I did not anticipate that at all with her. But I have to say, maybe she got lucky or it was just, I don't know. But it was great. This was her first win for the Jonkin tournament. We'll see what happens next week. Or should, no, not next week, we will have more ChocoPro on Monday, but however, because it's a very difficult timing during the week, but we'll see during the week then, but we'll see what happens. So I think that's pretty much it right now with ChocoPro. Let's move on with NWA USA. Okay, NWA USA, hosted by the Fixers, once again calling it the USA Surge. It opened up with the now Hale Collins and Vic Delicious to take on Eric Jackson and Jaden Newman. So I thought this match was very different. However, I have Eric Jackson, who we've seen countless times. This is Jaden Newman's debut in NWA. Uh, don't know much about him, but I have to say the now seems like they had the more, how do I say, cohesiveness as they've been together. They seem like more cohesive, but it was, of course, the ticket to the now by Delicious onto Newman that picked up the win. Now, like I said, I don't know much about Jaden Newman. Eric Jackson, I've seen him countless times on NWA, either on Power or USA. But yeah, now we do get a little interview with the fixers with McGurria. Once again, they're asking him if he, since he lives in Florida, is he ever punched any alligators? So you know how these type of ridiculous, more fun questions these guys are doing to get on the nerves of everybody, and you know how that ends. But I don't need to tell you that. Then once again, we get that same. Once again, the fixers interviewed Magic Jake Dumas, asking him if he actually went to a magic school, and of course, uh, he had Jake had to say that magic is right here, and he's like implanting all this stuff, like they're saying, like I thought it was just too darn funny. Oh my god, wow. Anyway, our next match we have Red Titus with Gustavo. Now this is their first time pairing, taking on the country gentleman consisting of AJ Kazana and Anthony Andrews. Now, Red Titus has been trying to tell Gustavo, take things seriously. No more joking. No more of the hips. So he's trying to tell him that, but of course that couldn't cost him. But however, the country gentlemen are more cohesive than those two, but it did allow for Anthony Green to apply the ball game um, slam onto Gustavo, giving them the win. So Gustavo, you better not do this again. Now we do get an interview from the fixers once again, but this time with someone they're familiarized, but decided to play a little game with him, and that is none other than Kobe Carino. Kobe did not like what he's hearing from them, acting like they're reliving some past life or something like that. I don't know. I thought it was just too darn funny. But yeah. Now our next match we got Joe Ocasio, who we've seen a few times, versus a guy named Father. I don't know who this guy is, but I can tell this match ended in a somewhat of a cutter type match. Like I said, I don't know much about Father, but that's how it ended. Then our final interview with the fixers, they talked to Thrill Billy Silas along with Pollo Demar. Now, Thrill Billy Silas, as you know, he is in the hunt for the NWA National Championship, which is the primary title for NWA USA. And of course, the fixers are trying to say that we all got to stick together, since the tag titles will be defended on NWA USA, and I think that kind of puts it in a very perspective way. So we'll see what happens then. Now in the main event, we have the Miserable Faithful, Sal the Pallet and Gags the Gimp, taking on the Spectaculars, Adam Pearce and Russ Freeman. Now, no, Father James Mitchell was not there out of nowhere, but I thought this match was very interesting. But it was, of course, the Spectaculars, both consistent an elbow drop onto Sal the Pal that allowed them to win. So I'm sure when this match is over, Father James Mitchell is not going to be happy that Gags the Gimp and Sal screwed up. So I think that's pretty much it, what took place with the NWA USA. Let's move on to our final review, New Japan Strong, Autumn Attack. New Japan Strong, Autumn Attack opened up with QT Marshall taking on Shota Umino. Now, as you know, QT Marshall has his issues towards New Japan, saying that their LA Dojo or their Young Lions, that New Japan doesn't produce the best wrestlers, and he took a shot at everyone. However, you're taking on a guy who been in the dojo system, but also was the protege of none other than Moxley. So this time it was a very interesting dynamic. I have to say, Shota actually showed QT Marshall who's boss. However, he was going to try to find a way to escape the one move that everybody knows that Shota can pull off. We're talking about Death Rider, but we call it the paradigm shift in AEW. But he was able to apply that. It took at least 2 or 3 times in order for Shota Umino to pick up the win, and that's exactly so. He shut up QT Marshall once and for all. Now, they weren't scared. Now, we had an unexpected visit into the ring. This was totally unexpected. It was members of Team Filthy, consistent more with Danny Limelight and JR Kratos. Now, Their reasons of being there is the fact is that they're they're sick to their stomachs that the fact that the strong openweight titles are in the waist of Aussie Open. Now, what is the problem with that? Simple. These are wrestlers who've been there since day one. If you look at Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs, they're in the same page as Kratos and Limelight. They're right. They've been there for long. Why did they get the? Why is it that they have the titles? And I think that kind of puts it in a very good argument. So, however, they call them out, calling them that they're nothing but wussies, losers, or to scare them. However, Aussie Open did came out, and of course, it's not saying that they will accept their challenge. They just nodded, saying, "Yes, we accept your challenge." So basically, Team Filthy, as you know, they have been the one faction that has been under control, that ruled the entire New Japan Stronghold, United Empire, making their way. But however, this is going to be a very interesting war between two different groups. Now, our next match, we have Juice Robinson versus Ren Narita. However, this started out badly when Juice Robinson did not like how Ren Narita called him out, all this and that. So he tried to beat him up, but the match ended in favor of Ren Narita. But however, Ren did not want that to happen. This match turned into a no DQ. But I did like how this match proceeded. Everything that Juice Robinson did in order to beat down Ren Narita failed on the spot. He put him through hell, tables. He put him through headed through the chair. Nothing worked. However, it was an amazing submission by twist, bending the arms of Juice Robinson that forced him to tap out. Nobody anticipated that. So I think that Ren Narita is becoming the most recognizable wrestler we ever seen. He's showing the fighting spirit that he's like never say die type of attitude. And I think that's what I like about Ren. Never say die. Now our main event is of course Homicide along with Black Bull Combat Club's Wheeler Yuta to take on the Bullet Club's Carl Anderson and Jay White. So I thought this match was very interesting. Things would have gone the favor of Wheeler Yuta and Homicide if it wasn't for the interference of Tom Lawler and Team Filthy. We don't know what was their business of doing that, and then as soon as Jay White was able to apply the Blade Runner, they decided to beat down the losing opponent. Shota Umino even showed up for help, but he got choked out by Tom Lawler in order that. However, Jay White decided to talk more about himself like he usually does, but he gave the mic straight to Tom Lawler. Now, we don't know what's the significance of Lawler and Team Filthy with Bullet Club. I'm sure this is only a temporary alliance or so. So we'll see what happens then. So we'll go from there. So I think that's pretty much it for New Japan Strong. I say let's move on to our last and final thing we're gonna do, news updates. Okay, now in relations with WWE, as you know, they've been trying to, how do I say this, uh, fix the mistakes that Vince McMahon made. As you know, people that were released. W sources revealed that they had sources that say that Renee Paquette, or as we know, Renee Young, John Moxley's wife, that she is heading to AEW. Now, however, because of this source, there's neither no confirmation from both AEW and Renee if this is 100% true. Now, we don't know the significance if this is real or not, because as you know, Renee, some people were concerned for Renee when Moxley left because we all know the history what WWE does with the spouses of wrestlers that left. They try to take their advantage of it. We don't know if the sources are right. Sometimes we hearsay things, but hopefully somewhere down the line we will get those answers if those are 100% true or not. Because sometimes I don't like to believe everything. Now, next up we have, of course, the RCW promotion from Spain. Yes, folks, the promotions from the country of Spain in Europe. As you know, I mentioned there was going to be the World Cup tournament taking place on the on the 22nd of October, which is their third event. However, a match has been announced for this particular tournament. We have Sada Leon, who is a local wrestler from Spain, taking on Japanese and of course freelancer Mayohiki. I think this is gonna be a good match for Mayohiki. So this event will take place on the 22nd of October. Now, good news. This is another relations towards WWE. This was reported by the Wrestling Observer. This relates to Oney Lorcan, or as we know, Biff Busick. Turns out that he signed a full-time contract with the WWE, but as a performance center coach. Now, I don't know why he took that deal. I mentioned this with Santana Garrett. She also took a position as a coach there too for the performance center. So that kind of sets it in, but I don't know much about what's the significance of that. Moving on. Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling has announced for two new trainees. These are the ones that they announced. We have Ho from Tokyo. She's only in the third year of her junior high student. She's only 14 years old. And then there's Momo from Saitama, second year junior high student, who's also 14 years old. So these two ladies, as you know, if you guys ask her, really, they have 14-year-olds wrestle there too? Yes, in Japan they do that. There are girls who are very young. They started out. Riho, on the other hand, if you guys know this or not, started training at the age of 9. So that's one of the good things. So wrestlers have started at young ages. I know that there's a 12-year-old in Diana, so that kind of sets it in. But yeah, so they're right now currently practicing. It's only a matter of time until they get their debut, and we'll see what happens then. Now, for our final update, as you know, we haven't heard much about Pro Wrestling Zero's founder, Shinjiro Otani. He just tweeted for the first time for who knows how long he hasn't been tweeted. This was reported by Tokyo Sports. This is what he said: "I will stand up no matter how many times." So, as you guys remembered, a few months ago, he got injured during a match by Takashi Sugiura. He was not moving. He might have hurt his spine and he required surgery. And of course, many promotions like Diana and a few others have made, and of course, Kairi Zane donated her merch money for the medical expenses for Shinjiro Otani, since him and his family are going to be dealing dark times. It feels like he's doing good, and I can't wait to see him get back. Now, we don't know for sure if he'll be back in the ring, but we'll just wait and see what happens. So, for now, we'll just stick to what we know on this, and we just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do got the GCW events that I haven't reviewed. War Ready, which was the last event they did in Japan, and we got the new one, Fight Club Night 1. I'll be doing that. Hopefully, I get to see Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Princess 3, where it's going to be a good event. We have some other ones I haven't decided. I know GLEAT will be having their show soon. No ChocoPro coming up. They'll be doing that on Monday, from my understanding. Anything else? We'll just go from there. Like I said, I'm just going to wing it, see how everything plans out. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.